everyone. My name is Ken Minot. I am the president of the Maine Vintage Race Car Association, and we want to welcome you to another edition of Vintage Racers Roundtable. Along with my co-host, as always, Pete Silva. We're here to kind of trade some stories and look back in the rearview mirror of the incredible careers of some Maine racing legends. And we've got a little bit different show today. And before I go any further, I do want to thank our presenting sponsors, Elevation Station and Oxford Auto Salvage, for all their continued support. And of course, the folks here at LCTV for being such gracious hosts as always. And as I said, Pete, we got a little bit different show today. If you got a chance to see the last program, we had a panel here, and time just flew by so fast. We were digging into some stories and really never even began to scratch the surface of this gentleman's career right here.
Yeah, and we mentioned that when we started. We said an hour won't do this justice because we had him and Sandy McKinnon, and we didn't get anywhere near deep enough into Dick's success. And actually, we didn't even Sandy's. We didn't even get to his championship year with Carafa. So we're going to get updated here, and hopefully we can, the fans can learn more about Dick's accomplishments. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so to kind of reintroduce our panel, and we do have one new guest here with us today. Want to welcome back a member of the Maine Motorsports Hall of Fame class of 2009 and New England Auto Racers Hall of Fame class of 2002, Mr. Dick McKay. Welcome back, Dick.
Thank you.
Historian and longtime friend, the man who keeps all the dates right on Dick's career, we have Dave Staples. Welcome back, Dave.
Thank you.
And kind of a new perspective, hopefully, to make sure the stories these two guys are telling us is correct. The longtime crew chief you had through much of your career. We want to welcome Mark Wentworth. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you. Nice to be here. And big job keeping these two in line, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is kind of what this is all about. Just kick around some stories, and Pete's got all his timeline and stats here, and we're going to try to make sense of all this. But last episode, we kind of dug into the beginning of your career and where it all started. And I guess a couple questions I had was where did the number 0 came from? You're obviously synonymous with that number.
Definitely.
I used to go to the races with Dick McGarry up to Oxford, and he had a 0 race car, and I kind of liked that. And Paul Tardiff always had a good-looking bomber, Class B car down at Beach Ridge, was his number 0. I always had a wicked, clean-looking, sharp race car. I says, that'll work for me.
Well, it did, because everything you had was sharp and clean, too.
That was thanks to Ray Jansen.
Yes.
Yeah, we were talking about Ray this morning. I was talking to Pellerin for a while, and he said Ray could have made it down south in those shops. He had that much talent. Yeah, nice.
He's one of the good ones, for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't want to overlook you being new on the show today, but how did you two guys get hooked up? How did you get started in racing? And where did you guys get hooked up?
I got something for him.
His mother's my sister.
Yeah, I'm his nephew for one thing.
So first of all, you seem kind of normal spending that much time with these two over the years.
Well,
you've done pretty well there.
Thick skin, maybe, I'm not sure.
So did your mother tell you had to go help your uncle?
No, we were... At one point, we were going to Beach Ridge. I was in the stands, and then on Saturdays, I used to pull lobster traps. I lived in Cape Porpoise. Then I'd ride my bike up to Dick's house and help him with the car a little bit on his way to Beach Ridge.
I was going to ask you about that. So something that was very intriguing the first time is you starting at 14, and we had that deal going and not being able to drive and having somebody sign for you.
Yeah.
But the 14-year-old deal got me. According to the history I got, when you started pedaling your bike to Dick's, you were 14.
Right in that area, yeah.
How old were you then?
24. No, he started before that, I think.
Well,
12.
That was the age I gave, but maybe I was off.
That's where I got the information.
I think you're around 12 years old.
Okay.
Wow.
And what were you doing when you started working with him?
Just the grunt stuff, because I didn't know one end of a wrench from the other, so.
Family member, we probably used him out pretty
Yes. Pete, hit the nail right on the head, yeah.
Climb in and clean that back windshield.
Go get this and go get that.
So obviously at that young age, you didn't have mechanical experience.
0.
So everything you learned to get to the point where you become crew chief for Dick, you learned it on the job working for you.
Oh, yeah.
Is that where all that came from?
For sure. Yep.
Which would make sense.
Yeah.
So how long does that go on before you get to this point? How old? Do you remember how old you were when you became the crew chief?
I'm thinking when we first started going to Vermont, probably.
Yeah.
NASCAR.
Yeah.
Well, BGN.
So
Yeah.
are you a late teen or
77.
77 around.
are you a late teen or early 20 type deal? You must have been relatively young.
I was. I graduated from high school in '76, so
Jesus.
yeah, I was probably
Yeah.
18, 19. Yeah.
So what did you see at that stage that gave you that confidence? So you guys just had that good of a relationship, you felt comfortable doing that?
We just got along, made it work.
Well, I mean, that's important, obviously. 'cause
Yeah,
you-
it's just, I don't know. It's just one of them things that,
well, it's a great thing, really, I
Yeah.
think. After we talked the last time,
he kept me from breaking down. He kept the car in good condition.
well, I was going to save this stat for later, but to that point, your great success, 73% of your finishes were in the top 10. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
To your point,
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
That's pretty
and-
good
and when
run,
I was
yeah.
talking with Pellerin this morning, we were talking about how made so many starts really count. If you didn't win, they still counted because you ran in front, and that
Yeah.
happens because of what you just said, the maintenance and the work and the quality
Yeah.
of the cars and the people. It's pretty incredible, really.
Combination of good equipment,
Yeah.
well put together, and a good driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being able to keep it going straight without hitting things,
There was
that
a
makes
lot
a
of
huge
good-
difference.
There was a lot of good communication between Mark and Raymond. Raymond was, and Dick. Between the three of them,
Yeah, I know.
We were all 10 years apart, so it's kind of neat.
Ray
Really?
Jansen.
Raymond was 10 older, I was in the middle, and he's 10 younger.
So that gives a lot of perspectives, really, when
Yeah.
you're having
Yeah.
a discussion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
No doubt.
But I was, I was fortunate that my brother was with me for a long time, and I know the value of having somebody you just know
Yeah.
has your back.
Yeah.
and,
Inherently trust them, yeah.
yeah, but I didn't realize that when your name first came up that you had such a tight deal there.
Yeah.
Do you realize you had 500 starts? Did you know that?
No, I don't. I wasn't much of a scorekeeper.
Well, I just.
Take us through each one of them.
And speaking of scoring, as it turns out, not only does your nephew become your crew chief, your sister was your head did all
Scorer.
your scoring.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's a nice deal. Did that go
Yeah.
on until you got done racing?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we went through a lot of your early stages, like from the coupe.
Yeah.
Did your first Chevelles you ran on the dirt?
Yeah.
There was one that was nicknamed the Sidewinder.
Yeah, that's what it was, yeah.
So I guess you nicknamed the car.
I think everybody had a hand in that.
So where did that car come from? You didn't buy that one from Jeff Stevens, did you?
No, I bought it from Bobby Turner. It was some
Okay.
Giroux's.
Yes,
Bob
that was the
Giroux
one.
out of Vermont. That was his guy. Ran
Was that
Yeah.
the 95 car or something?
I don't know what the
Was that
number
the
was.
first car you bought to do NASCAR North? Was it a tank or
No,
something? A real heavy
that
car?
that car ran Beach Ridge, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Green with a white roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Probably NASCAR legal, but ran beaches.
and it was
give
sideways
us-
a lot of the time.
It gave us a great lesson.
Yes.
That car made you a better chassis man.
Keep your arms free.
Well, it made you, first you had to learn how to finish and drive it, and then, but you sooner or later you've got to figure out how to get it to go straight.
What do you think that deal was?
Oh, I found out what it was. I was told that we had a 486 ring and pinion. I'm 411 ring and pinion. I was putting the gears in for
Jesus. And it
486.
just knocked it loose, didn't
And
it?
then come to find out the right rear wheel was back 3/4 of an inch.
So back then there wasn't a lot of experience stringing
No,
this stuff, was there?
no.
You just thought everything was all right.
Yeah, I could
probably
go through a
could-
tire a night. The right rear, yeah. The 25 lap race. That's the
Last race at
evening.
Beach Ridge in 75, 691 gears, and he won the show.
Jesus, you didn't have any problem getting from the corner to the flag stand, did you?
You net shift on the restart. No.
So that's your first full body car.
Yeah.
So how long did you run that for? 1 year, maybe?
I might have run
Did you get it
2
fixed and
years.
get it going better?
Toward the end of 74, and ran it to 75 season.
Did you get to victory lane with it?
I won a championship down Beach Ridge with a Chevelle
Yep.
with that car, and we won some races down there. Oh yeah,
With that car.
yeah.
So there was a deal about a 68 Chevelle, and it has Bobby Turner. The word says Bobby Turner and Jeff Stevens. So did you get
No,
something?
I bought that one from Bobby Turner, who bought it from Giroux.
Okay.
And the Jeff Stevens car was a whole other car that Raymond built. Helped Jeffrey build it.
Was that the 88 car they talked about, a blue 88 perhaps?
Yes.
Was that a NASCAR type deal?
Yes, it was built more or less for Daytona.
That's right, so it was heavy.
It was heavy. He went to
was
Martinsville and he had a big block in it, so
Holy Christ.
yeah,
Yeah.
wasn't the right way to go for Martinsville.
And you bought that car
Yes.
without the motor?
Yeah, without the motor. Put a small
And,
block in it, and
Did it go pretty good?
we fought with it. I didn't understand those cars. I was going to Oxford and
Was it like the Franklin deal with the 4-link in the back or something?
No.
the back was truck arm, wasn't it?
Yeah, it had the long
Really?
arms, and is that the one that
We put,
Stevie put a front clip on it?
well, Glines, we put
Glines,
a,
okay.
Glines
Glines.
put a front clip on it
Yes.
for me. Stock
And
Car Products front clip.
Yeah.
I cut the Chevelle front end off. I couldn't get it to go right. Put a Stock Car Products. It was no better. I
that-
finally got smart and I stiffened up the front springs and
Yeah.
started coming around.
Was that a strut rod front end on Stock Car Products?
Yes, it was like a Banjo
Yeah,
Matthews.
that's
Yeah.
what I seen. I got those catalogs.
Yeah.
I chuckle when you say stiffen it up because when we got to traveling around and I was trying to, I still didn't know a lot. I just always stiffened everything up because it stayed more consistent and I stood a better chance of figuring it out and going along, I thought, you know.
Yeah.
What was it, just rolling over too much?
Just didn't cooperate at all. It just laid over and it didn't drive, you know, it would wallow through the turns. The front would go
No
out.
sway bar or nothing on it?
Yeah, it was a small sway bar and stuff. Just we were pretty green.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah.
It's humbling, isn't it?
As a matter of fact, I went over and asked Bobby Dragon. I said, look, I'm not having any luck with that thing. He had Zavaka scars and stuff. He says, try stiffening up the front end, Dick, he says. So I started putting the springs to her and she started to come around a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you think when you're getting going in racing and you're driving a car that won't handle, that helps make you a better driver in the long run? Because if you can
Good question.
fight your way through a car that won't handle, then you get into some good stuff and set up the way you want.
I guess it's all part of the tuition.
Yeah.
You've got to pay that price.
Yeah.
You've got to learn how, when the things are bad.
Boy, people said, boy, you won some races. And I said, yeah, but I said, no matter how good the middle is, the beginning and the end wears your ass out.
Yeah, it's an education.
Yeah.
Did you run that car on the asphalt or the dirt?
Ran it on the asphalt up to Oxford and stuff, and we went to Thunder Road, Catamount.
So I was going to say that. So you leave Beach Ridge, which is dirt.
Yeah.
Now you probably go to Arundel because everybody was going there.
Rundle was closed by then, I think.
Yeah, it was.
Didn't you win a race at Arundel?
Yes, but that was in the coupe.
Okay. Okay.
That
All
was-
right.
That was
One of
pretty.
your first wins was
Yeah.
in Arundel,
Okay.
yeah.
So then you're going to Oxford. Is that your first asphalt seriousness
Yeah, Oxford would be, yes.
in the car the two cars you're talking about, or just
Just
one of them?
just the one, just the car that we got from Jeffrey.
So how long did you get away from that before you went to Laughlin?
I think I fooled with it a year or two, didn't I? 2 years?
Probably.
What decided you to go in that direction?
I went down to Martinsville and I watched LD Ottinger drive right over Bobby Isaac's right rear tire with a Laughlin car and keep it on going and win the race. I says, I think that chassis right there probably worked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good relationship for you.
Yeah,
You see, he just passed away last week.
I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so this must be the early '70s by now, or is this late '60s still?
Early,
The Laughlin car came on board in '77.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's go back to a year or so before that. And I didn't realize any of this the last time we talked, and Ken came across it and he can't find statistics on it. What possessed you to go to Star and race a super modified in the middle of all this?
That was 73 about.
That early? I thought it was like 70.
Yeah,
later.
some 73, 74.
74.
I just wanted to do something different. You know, I like those cars. The fuel injection was the most fun thing to drive.
Quick, huh?
It's beautiful. You take an eighth of an inch of the throttle, you get an eighth. It doesn't have that 4-barrel or that 2-stroke. All the
Bogs
ones
down,
that buzz.
yeah.
You get whatever you step
Really?
on. Yeah. It was more controllable.
Was that a big block then?
No, small block, but yeah, I drove Richard LeGros car. up
Yeah,
there.
I had that here somewhere.
Yeah.
How did you do?
We had about a 6th or 8th place car at the best. Once in a while, I could get 5th, 4th.
Yeah.
It was an upright, and they were all running the roadsters with a motor over at the left and all that.
Oh, really? So you basically outdated?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a little outclassed, but it was a good education.
Yeah, I bet it was. Yeah, there must have been some pretty stout competition there then.
Oh yeah, Don McLaren, Ollie
Yeah.
Silver, and Eddie West.
Yeah, I was going to say West.
Oh yeah, yeah. There
Yeah.
were no sleepers there.
No. we'll go on. That's one thing I noticed about you. Every time you moved along, you didn't go anywhere where it was easier.
Well, you don't get any better.
No, but I mean, it's a natural progression, but some people just kind of hang when everybody leaves.
They find a comfort zone and they stay there.
And pick some
Yeah.
low-hanging fruit. You didn't
Yeah.
do any of that at all.
Oh, I'll go to the top of the tree if I can get there.
So, did your Beach Ridge experience driving the Supers
Yeah,
put you to that deal?
it helped. Yeah, I drove a Super Beach
Yeah.
Ridge.
Drove a few Supers there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where were you at this time?
I'm not quite old enough to get in the pits, I don't think.
When he's doing that, you're not still?
But no, I was down a star
Yeah.
with you, with that Super, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have much help.
No, Clyde, didn't. Richard LeGros.
Richard LeGros, yeah, he didn't have any help.
Going to say Clyde Booth?
No,
No.
Clyde. We called him Clyde.
Yeah.
That was what he went by.
So what was he driving by the time you come along? Where was he at in his career to be the crew chief?
With his first NASCAR.
First, the Laughlin car.
Yes,
or
the Laughlin car.
Yeah.
So this is when you started going to Thunder Road.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
77.
you must, obviously you're on board now,
Yep.
and you're going to all these places.
Yep.
And Ray Jansen.
Raymond.
Yeah. We had one set of gears for Thunder Road, Oxford, Thunder Road, and Catamount.
613s.
I was going to say
I
620.
think
I
we went to
guess.
Sanea with them too.
Yeah.
Sanea, we had him at Sanea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you're getting ready to do something, you go to Gardner and you ask him what to do. And the deal I got here, when you asked him for advice, he said, "Just gas a boy and turn left."
Yeah, that was it. That was it. That was my first race ever. That was at Dover Speedway. I don't know. I was 16 or whatever I was.
15 probably.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
was pretty young. I said, "What do you do?" "Oh, Sonny says just gas her and bail out."
Boy, that sounds like him, doesn't it?
Oh, he was a great man.
So how did you react to that? I mean,
Well, that's what I did.
how'd that work out?
I started third and finished third. I was second for a while. Lee gave me the devil, my driver. He says, "Couldn't you keep him behind you?" I felt like saying, "I'm just glad I finished." I said,
Obviously, that still had to be on the dirt.
no, this was Dover. This was asphalt.
Really?
Fifth
Yeah,
line.
we raced
So
Dover.
you started on asphalt and went to dirt?
Now, I started on dirt, but we'd go to Dover Friday nights, which was a 5th mile asphalt track.
See, I thought you went to Dover when you were too young to
This
go.
is Dover, New Hampshire.
Hampshire.
Yeah, little bitty.
But I thought you went there before you went to Beach Ridge, but I guess you didn't.
No, because we built the car for Beach Ridge, but when we found out we could run down to Dover Friday nights,
Yeah.
I'd change all the gears, the shocks, the tires, and everything. Go down there Friday.
So what was this car?
Bomb, coupe.
The zero car, the 6-cylinder?
Well, it was a 24 back then, or 34 originally, I guess. I had a red and white one. The first one was
Yeah, I've
34.
never seen a picture of that one. Did you build it?
Yep.
He built a car, when he built his first car, I don't think he was old enough to drive it.
No.
No, that's when he had a
Yeah.
couple guys, LeGros or somebody,
Lee Clough.
Clough, yeah.
Yes,
driving it.
Ringo.
Did you help him build that car too?
No, I was probably 8 then, right? No, I did
Jesus.
not.
Dickie Seavey, helped me. The guy was a welder at the Navy.
Yeah, I
Yard.
remember
Yeah.
you heaped high praise on him and gave him a lot of thanks there when
Yeah,
we were here
well,
the last
there's a
time.
lot of people back then that were real good to me.
Yeah.
If he wasn't around on a Friday when I needed some welding, I could get down to the bus garage there, Netto and Thompson's, they had the buses, and I plowed snow with them. I'd get a little welding done, I'd get patched
Really?
up. Oh, yeah,
Is he the guy that taught you to weld and cut and everything, to use oxygen?
Stevie did, yeah.
Yeah. Was that must have been pretty early on, right?
Oh, yeah.
He worked,
You know, you had to learn, you had to learn that right off
Yeah.
quick.
he worked at the shipyard, right?
Yeah.
You wanna?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm hooking on to all this. We're just starting to get into the meat and potatoes of when he
Okay.
really started reeling off wins and heading into the Busch North Series.
Yeah.
And
So obviously you did race at Arundel, and your first win there, you beat Walsingham and Gardner Levitt. That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, put Wolstenholme to sleep that day.
wow.
I knew I was faster than him, but I didn't pass him right till the very end because I knew if I passed him, he'd figure out how to beat me. 'Cause he was crafty.
Oh, well, he was good. Yeah.
He was a very good racer.
The record book
And he was
says so.
smarter
Yeah.
than I was, and I knew it. And I says, I ain't passing him till the right time. And then I drove on.
What did he say after?
Oh, he was mad as hell.
He knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I raced down there one time. That was when they were grandfathering it to be open, one race.
Yeah.
I went down there with 617s with my own Chevelle. Oh, yeah. And the grass was growing up and the track was cracked everywhere. So
Yeah.
I'd hit that with those gears and I figured it would. But I beat Walsingham and Jeff Stevens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I looked like I just come from a Duck Dynasty deal there with my hair and beard out there. And I went up to they wouldn't let me near the pay booth. They blocked it. Thank God I was friends with Walsingham because he came around the corner and it was like the Red Sea parted. We got paid, but yeah, that place was wild. And like you said, there were good people racing there. They came from everywhere, didn't
Yeah.
they?
It was Friday night. You're kind of an
Yeah.
off night.
Yeah. So you go from there, then you go through the Beach Ridge deal, then you jump into the Super. Junior Prescott's, was that part of the Wally Prescott family?
Yes, that was his brother.
Was that wasn't the 4X though?
No.
No, that was Wally's personal car. Junior had one, the 24.
Okay.
And Wally was driving it, and Wally got done. I think he went back into his own car.
Yeah. For
That'd be the
76.
4X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Junior asked me to drive his car. Or
Okay.
I think he asked me.
Joe Gardner still got that car, doesn't he? The 4X.
I don't know.
I think he's so. So when I was talking with Steve, we were talking about you jumping into the modifieds and that stuff. The Dick LeGros car, was that a Super at the Ridge?
Yes, it
He
was.
said that was a state-of-the-art car at the time, really nice.
Well, the first one he hand built, the 12 car.
That's the one he was talking. He said the 12 car.
Yeah. Yes, it was a nice car, the 327. It was pretty simple. You know, just had a set of tubing rails and stuff. But we won some races with that car.
Did somebody drive it before you?
No.
No, she was brand new.
Brand new.
Okay, because he said the minute you got in it, Steve was saying this morning, the minute you got in it went straight to the front and was winning races.
Yeah. That was a good car. It was a good car.
5 out of 8 races. Is it?
Yeah.
So that was Junior Prescott's car.
That Prescott's
Oh,
car.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, so between the Snap 6, the 76,
I wanted the Snap 6.
Jesus, and Dick LeGros' car, you probably had more success in the Super. Were those called Supers then?
Yeah, they were supers. The Snap car was a super.
So as much as everybody knows how well you did in other forms of racing, do people realize how many races you won in the Super? It just kind of gets missing, doesn't it?
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I mean, the stuff you did beyond that overshadows it.
Well, I didn't
anyway.
race that many super races, but when I did pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds it.
Yeah. They were fun to drive. You'd have loved them.
I can imagine.
Oh, yes.
I drove Jamie Franklin's car at East Bay. It was he owns the old time modified series. We did pretty well, and I'd never sat in a car where you could see the wheels and see everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I got out. I mean, I'm glad I did what I did, but I was mad at myself for not doing what when you said you'd like it. I don't know how you couldn't love it.
Yeah. If
Yeah.
that baby's any good at all, she's going to be a good night.
You know, listening to you talk, I know people say they don't miss. I miss it. I probably don't miss a lot of the things that go with it, but you sound like
Oh,
you just enjoyed it.
Oh, I had a great time.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to have a great time when you're successful too, but you sound like you would miss it right now. If somebody asked you how much you missed it, what would you say?
I miss it, but it wouldn't be the same for me. The people I raced with were great.
I guarantee you that, but I'm talking about racing, just the racing part
Just
of
you
it.
and the race
I do
car.
miss that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Miss the competition.
I tell people, I can see people if they've never been fortunate enough to do what you did, or a lot of people had success, got to victory lane and worked their butts off and emptied their wallets. I could see them not missing it. But if you've had the success to win races and stand there with the trophy and the flag and all everything that goes with that, it's hard for that to leave your system. I think that feeling.
I had just as much fun sometimes running fifth or sixth racing with somebody.
I
I remember Norris Willett kind of saying that same thing. That he'd
You
rather
both be going at it all night.
He said, "I'd rather be the chaser than the chasee."
listen. You've probably run third when easier and won races that were easier than that night you were in third.
Right.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said to being in the fight, even if you don't win. And I'm sure even when you didn't win, well, according to this, 73% in the top 10, you were always
Yeah.
in the fight.
Yeah.
You know, David, we've kind of ignored you here.
That's all right. We're getting along.
So now we've gone, all of this stuff in the Super, was that before or after Star?
After.
After, yeah.
Okay, so you were really in that role there to drive
Yeah.
those cars. So what propelled, I remember you said Gardner mentioned to you, and you must be coming along right about this time, you needed to be on the NASCAR North
He
tour.
says you ought to try. He says you ought to try it, but he always called me McCabe. He says you ought to try it, McCabe. He says I think you'd like it. He says.
That was good advice, obviously.
Yeah.
So, are you by now you're part of the deal.
Yes.
Yep.
You must be a bigger part of it by now.
Getting there, yeah.
Probably not crew chief yet, but getting...
Right.
Who was your crew chief then? Did Ray do some of that?
I guess I was a crew chief.
From in the car, yeah.
We just, be 2 or 3 of us, we'd do the best we could.
At that time, though, were you like a sponge, grabbing as much information and learning as much as
Trying
you
to
can?
be, yeah.
All right.
Was it mostly from Dick, or were there other guys that
No,
kind of taught you
Raymond
the
too.
ropes? Yeah.
That's a good statement, because considering his youth, and he jumps on board to go do the NASCAR North thing and the success they had, he must have learned his lessons well.
Yeah.
So, we probably talked about this. What was the car you were driving the first time you went to Thunder Road?
It was that car I got from Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that had the 427 in it.
Well, yeah, I had a small block in it.
Right.
Yeah, I rode down the wall on 2 wheels. Yeah, I didn't do well now.
Met
Was
the
that your
lit-
first time?
Well, I don't know if it was the first time, but that car, I struggled with that car. Yeah.
How many?
I don't know. We didn't go there too much of that. No.
Was that the only NASCAR North venture at that time?
We went to a few.
You went to Catamount, the last race of the season. So that would have been probably
So that's usually a 300 lapper.
yeah,
last one.
75 or 76.
How'd you do there?
Qualified, and then it rained out and didn't go back.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I got to ask you a question. I mean, you ran well everywhere as you went, whether you were in town or out of town. And I know when I landed at Hickory by accident, I'd been to, a race at Unity, obviously, and I'd been to Catamount a few times.
Yeah.
I thought for me to get around Hickory, that served me well. And I know, I don't know a lot about your Hickory deal, but I know you went, and I know you ran well. You
Yeah.
did run well. I thought, did you, in the top 3, I think, or maybe better, I don't know.
Can't remember.
Fourth when the wheel loosened up.
Yes.
Yeah, we had an issue with the car there. Yeah.
So evidently you took to that place pretty good too, right off the bat.
Yeah.
What do you attribute? Do you attribute any of those tracks to that?
Lucky.
Am I asking a lot to remember?
Lucky. I'd
I
say.
don't believe. Nah.
Well, it's
Good car, good equipment, good team, good driver. I mean,
Hickory
it isn't
was-
all luck. You
Hickory
gotta have
was
some.
similar to Catamount.
That's what. That's
Yeah.
the point I was trying to make.
yeah.
Did you ever go back?
No,
I
don't think so.
I've sat and thought 100 times. If you ran that good out of the box, why didn't you go back? Because I know you could have. Obviously, I feel you could have won
well,
there.
back then we were operating on the same dates. Somehow we got to Hickory early.
To go to Martinsville? You on the way to
That's
Martinsville?
exactly right.
Yeah.
We decided
Yeah,
to try.
before- yeah.
You and Gardner probably almost made the trip together, didn't you? Because I remember
Most
Gardner
generally, but I bet it was a week before Martinsville we went
Yes.
to Hickory,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
with intentions of going to Martinsville.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a big risk, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Then we went to Butch's after Hickory and worked on the car.
yeah.
Good guy.
Yeah. Great race.
I don't think people, yeah, great, everybody talks about the great racing and rightly so, but I know when I went through a deal when I went off on my own and I was down. Dick is the only, Butch was the only one to come over and spend time trying to,
Help you out.
get me back up on the, mentally, to get
Yeah.
my spirit
When
back. I mean, just a good guy.
When you get down on yourself, you'll have those times when things don't go right, week after week after week.
Yeah,
You start asking a lot of questions.
yeah, there's nothing, listen, you raced a long time. There's nothing better than confidence going in. And when some of that gets down, you start second guessing and
Oh, yeah.
Jesus.
It all goes to pieces then.
Well, it seems to.
So we're kind of heading into the second half of the show, and I'm glad you grabbed that piece of paper because there's a lot of highlights on that paper right there that I want to get into.
Well, we got 500 starts, 51 tracks. Did you ever think about that?
No,
I can remember I thought I'd done something special. I'd gone to 47 tracks. You kind of blew me out of the water.
What was your favorite one to race on?
Oxford was pretty good to me. And I like Quebec City. It was a kind of a terrible racetrack, but it was awful good to me.
Everybody wants to know how do you race Oxford? What's the
Carefully.
best? Yeah,
You're in well there.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. You can't overpower the track. You got to take what you can get and just make the car drive.
Yeah.
So the 250 you won there, we'll jump around, but seeing you brought that up.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk?
1988. Talk us through your battle with Kelly Moore to win your first Oxford 250.
But let's go to.
Oh, did I jump a little too far ahead?
Well, no, but that is the battle because I
Yeah.
was there. So you started doing something you don't normally do, and this probably came from you. You
Well-
took off early and led the race early, opposed
Well,
to.
I started 7th, yeah. There was a ton of cars.
Yeah, and you just went to it
Yeah.
and led, which normally most people would have thought you probably were a little more
They had the
That-
rabbit out there.
Yeah.
$100 a lap.
Yes, that has a lot to do with that.
So
I thought you ran behind Kelly and somebody else. And
you did
Randy
later.
LaJoy.
That was after the pit stop.
Yeah, maybe him and
Okay.
Ricky Pearson, or I can't remember who.
weren't you third for a while, and then you ran him down?
When I started the race, I started 7th. I got
Okay.
in the lead fairly soon. I ran out of tires about 85th lap, 90th, somewhere around there. The right rear was getting a little.
Okay, yeah.
Then I dropped back to 5th, like,
You come in at 107 lap.
yeah. And we put 2 tires on, and he made the call, or Raymond or somebody in the pits made the call. He says, come back in, we'll put the other 2 on, because I was way back. I was a half a track back.
You
Yeah.
might as well
I
do
would-
it.
So we come in and put the left side on. And when
My move.
when we started the race, I could look out right straight across. That's where the leaders were.
Yeah.
Well, you were running with Kelly Moore, Randy LaJoy, and Larry Pearson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good company. And so, after you get him on the tires, we get to a point in the race, and you're calling on the radio thinking you can't pass him because
Oh no, I knew. I was.
you're getting loose.
Well, I was.
No, at that point, I think
I
you
was
slowly-
all right. The second half of the race, I
After you
was
got
all right.
tires.
Yeah.
I was all right, and I knew the track would be better with all that rubber in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
The second half, you can go further the second half
Yeah.
on your tires than you can the
Good
first
point.
half.
Yeah,
Tire wear got better as the race
Yeah.
went on.
cars are freed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of that.
Yeah, well, the track's
Yeah.
taking the rubber. And I kind of tried not to overdrive it, but I was gaining all the time.
So you didn't need to overdrive it. You
Right. I could
just
look,
see
they was
'em
here, then they
getting
were here. then they
closer
were
and
here.
closer.
And so a yellow comes out. Somebody blows a motor.
Yeah.
Somebody blows a motor, and that everybody else backs off, and you kind of blast through.
I didn't know there was any oil there. I didn't know the difference.
You got lucky there then.
Yeah, I went through a little crossed up, but I went through, yeah.
Yeah, that's when Kelly backed off. The crew
Yeah.
told him it was oil.
But I caught him. We came a long ways that day.
Yeah.
They had a half a track lead.
Well, you pulled away from Kelly in the end there a little
Yeah,
bit. You-
I know
yeah.
I had to.
Yeah.
Enough said.
So, I didn't mean to
Oh, no.
take that deal over on you.
No, you're good.
Don't spread that around.
Well, while Pete's digging through the stuff here, what the nickname? We got to hit on that.
I'm going to give you something here.
The Irish Angel. Where I heard that. I didn't realize this, but I heard it was kind of a mistaken identity thing, or misunderstood.
Tom Curley gave me that. I guess we were up to Quebec City and Roger LaPearl, he kept cutting me off. I had to lock the brakes up a couple times. And he was quite impressed, I guess, so he called me the Irish Angel for not hitting him. But at Quebec City, I knew I could do some business as long as I didn't hurt my car.
This brings us to the touring years and the Irish Angel handle. When I asked where that came from, he said Curly. So, of course, I had to ask Tom where it came from. Well, it seems like so often Tom was actually misquoted. It was at Thunder Road, which was by design, always invited some bumping and banging. And apparently Dave Dion was the favorite son. McCabe, the new guy, was presenting a challenge. And McCabe and Dion started banging on each other. Tom let it go, figuring they were skilled enough to keep their cars whole. Young announcer Dave Moody, a big Dave Dion fan,
Yeah.
announces to Tom Curley that McCabe is roughing up Dion. That's all it took. Dave Moody made the nickname. Let me see, I've lost my way here. Oh, I guess Curley said, well, McCabe's no Irish Angel. That's how that came, and then it lasted for a day.
yeah.
Tom Moody took it and kept it going. And when you were asked about it, you said, well, that's Tom's way of describing my way of racing.
He ain't very angelic, I'll tell you.
But it seemed to have stuck.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, let me see. I've got all kinds of stuff here and I've lost it.
There you go.
Okay. So tell me about, we're going to go back to 71 real quickly.
How about it?
You're in the Chevelle, they had a rain out. Twin features the next week. You win the first one, wrecking the second one, and you go back and the cars lined up around the outside of the racetrack. There was one there and you wanted a piece of frame off it.
Oh, that was the coupe.
That was a bomber.
Okay, that bomber, you went nest.
Yeah,
I
I
wanted to
went.
charge you $75
No,
for
I
it.
wanted $50 or something for the. This was back when you had to pay to get rid of a junk car.
Yeah.
And it was like the third car. I needed a front section, and he wanted $50, and I got mad and I wouldn't pay it. And I didn't race. Then I went back a week later and I went over the boatyard, got a piece of oak, and put some hydraulic jacks and jacked her out.
But you boycotted after that.
Well, I took a week off. I was a little mad, but I went back, and the next race was the biggest race I ever won, was a 6-cylinder.
Yeah, that's what Steve was saying. You got mad, boycotted, came back and won the biggest race he had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lapped the field with the
Well,
lap
there were
the field.
three cars in the same lap.
Oh, you passed Wolstenholme and Ray Leach coming out of 2,
You-
and Wolstenholme waved you by.
You almost lapped the field twice, most of them.
Yeah.
According
Well-
to Steve.
Yeah. $600 and a $70 Bell helmet, I can tell you that.
Big money.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was back then. That's about what I had in the car when I
Yeah.
built it. I took some parts off the old car, the engine, and a couple other things, and
Yeah.
yeah, that was. Those cars had to kind of pay for themselves.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
Yeah, I think one of the most successful cars I had $1,200 in it.
Yeah,
And that was like with an LT1 type shop block in it.
yeah.
Sold it to St. Clair for $3,500.
Wished you never sold it.
He couldn't win it and it bought it back for $1,500 or $1,000. Hauled it to the racetrack the day I bought it. Started on the River 100 lapper and won $1,000 with it.
Oh, you.
I mean, the next 5 cars you lose your shirt on. It just
Yeah,
got lucky. So, did you have a lot of time, a rough time with Dion?
Well, not really, but I noticed his driving was a little bit different when you were the exact same speed he was. You might want to tighten your belt a little bit. If he had 2 tenths on you, he was a pretty good boy.
Who were some of the toughest guys you raced against?
Bobby, Beaver, Dave. I mean, fast.
Yeah.
Good competitors. Robbie Crouch.
Did you have a time with him at all?
No, always had. One time he was mad at me, but we never really had hardly ever had words. He's a great racer.
Yeah.
You were right in the middle of the heyday of probably the best time of the Busch North Series.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a lot of good races.
Who's your favorite guy to race against? Like, you could go wheel to wheel with him and,
Oh, Robbie was.
and trust and
Oh yeah,
have a
Robbie,
great time.
Joey Carafas,
Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe and I had a hell of a good race up to Oxford. The best. I had the most fun I ever had.
yeah.
Yeah, you got a deal here when I guess we were asking you. You got Butch Lindley, Mike Rowe,
Yeah.
Beaver, Bobby,
Yeah.
Stubby.
Yeah.
That's who I was going to mention,
Yeah.
Stubby Fat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have to laugh. The next we already talked, and then people you liked, and below it says Curly, maybe not.
I had a lot of respect for Tom Curley. That doesn't mean I was always in love with him.
So tell me about. Let me see. The guy's name, Freddie Schultz, was in the modified that was in front of you at Thompson, and you're trying to get the last spot to qualify for the Thompson modified race in Kudamash's car.
I think he was sauntering around a little bit. And it was holding me up, so we had to go.
Okay. I think they had a different twist on it, but listen, you want to go through some of that with him? Is that the one? No.
That's a name from the past, boys.
Yeah. Did you ever race? I know you raced Wiscasset a couple times. We were talking a little bit about
Yeah.
on the first show. Actually, we talked a little bit of a deal you had with Merle Grover, meeting him.
Oh, I was boys that owned Mill Cove. Austin Bader bought a car and he wanted me to drive it. And I was down there driving it. I was buying two cars. The guy lost a wheel. He tagged me, or I tagged him when he went around. I was sitting there dead meat. And the cars were splitting. There was two abreast coming at me.
So when you thought it was Stan and Bill Bailey, so
Yeah.
when they parted...
When they parted, there was either 2 or 4 cars, and the first 2 parted.
Yeah.
And the next one was dead center.
Yeah, he was right there probably.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't, yeah.
There was nothing. Oh,
Did destroy the cars?
yeah. Yeah. And
I think there's incredible statistics when you go down everywhere as he was at in his winning percentage in top 5s and 3s. I mean, there's a whole timeline there. I mean, we show, this is why I think you're so efficient with your stats. We know all kinds of people that won 100 and something races. And then we come to you, we've got a list here of 80 something races, but there was a year he didn't have anything, so it's probably closer to the 100 deal. But you're, out of that amount, you're a 10-time champion. I thought it was 9, but they haven't, there's another deal here.
won the championship. They hit a little thing up to Loudon there.
Yep.
For
Grand
4
championship.
4 years I won that.
You won it 82, 83, 84, and 85.
That was the Oxford Open.
Okay. Yes. The Oxford Opens, then the Busch Grand National North Series, 151 starts, 20 wins, 37 top 3s, 55 top 10s, top 5s, 89 top 10s, 92 and 93 champion,
Yeah.
91 New Hampshire champion. You get the modified division, Class A, 20 features, 12 wins, 10 top 3s, 20 top 5s, 20 top 10s. Jesus.
pretty much whatever you got into.
NASCAR North, Molson, Strohs, 180 features, 19 wins, 66 top 3s, 100 top 5s, 141 top 10s. Jesus. Plus the 81 and 82 deal on the NASCAR North
Yeah,
deal.
Busch North.
60 features, 15 wins, 30 top 3s, 44 top 5s, and 54 top 10s out of 60 starts. I mean, that's the efficiency of that is mind-boggling.
Yep.
So if you total it all up, that's probably, it might be a little better than this. Call it 20%, a fifth of your starts you won. That sounds like a small number, but if you're talking
Again,
automobile racing,
Considering the
Jesus,
competition,
that's a phenomenal.
too.
That's a phenomenal.
It
number.
wasn't like you were a big fish in a small pond either.
No.
So.
No.
I had a car in '82. The car I had in '82 Its average finish, I think, was either 3.8 or 4.1.
It was
Yeah.
29 top threes out of 31 starts. How about that? I remember that from you.
Yeah, we had 7 wins up in the
Jesus.
Molson
Yeah.
Tour and a win at Beech Ridge on the
Yeah.
dirt.
I seen those pictures. So the 10th championship I was getting lost on. At one time, during the NASCAR North deals, there was they declared a NASCAR
Oh.
North Canadian
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah,
So bottom line, it's still a champion. So that's 10 championships out of all that.
that was in '83.
Now, through the middle of all that, we got to kind of dig back into
I'm
your
sorry,
career
Al,
with
just
this.
got
It's
carried
okay.
away.
What were some of the challenges that you faced during all this time? Keeping him,
Putting up with me.
yeah. Was it the car? Was the car the challenge, or was it keeping him straight?
No, he wasn't the challenge.
Yeah.
Keeping the cars in good shape was the
You
challenge.
can probably still go to Thanksgiving dinner if you tell the truth.
Yes.
You know?
No, that's okay.
But keeping up with the technology as it changed through the years, and
Oh, definitely.
What were some of the more challenging cars or series that you had to deal
Well,
with?
you talked about straightening that axle for that old bomber in his yard. We didn't even have a caster camber gauge then.
No.
He used a level.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So much of the bubble would be out of the lines, and that was where he was happy with the camber on the right front.
yeah.
I can remember that. I can remember when I finally got a camber that worked. I took a level and a tape measure
Yep.
and measured it. So every time I got in trouble after that, that's when I put it back to that.
Put it back to that rental.
You take going from that to using a bump steer gauge.
Yeah,
That's big changes.
quite a change, yeah.
Yeah.
But to his question, who's doing? Asking you where you're at with this. Who's calling the shots on the setups? I mean, you had to. You get a starter.
We
deal
started.
from Laughlin.
Yeah.
We got a setup
Is that like
from Mike.
900s and 300s
Yeah.
or something?
Yes.
Yeah, something like
And-
that.
Yeah.
We tried to stay within what Mike wanted, and it wasn't working. So Butch Lindley told him, take the basic setup, and then work from there. Go with what you think works.
So what'd you do? Start coming off spring rate?
Oh, yeah, probably.
I know when we ran Oxford, I always wanted a nice long left rear spring.
Long and soft or long?
Yeah. But I wanted a long spring. A short spring to me is,
Well, they don't think it loads up, but it does. If you take, you got to do is put them on a rating machine and basically bury them,
yeah.
and you'll find out the last couple inches of travel what that spring does.
That's why I like the long
Yeah.
spring,
Yeah.
because it's consistent.
Help you turn, help
Yeah.
the car turn. You
Yeah,
think?
well, if you get the short spring,
Yeah.
the rate changes when it gets,
Yeah.
as you compress it.
I had the purple spring there in the end when everybody's doing all the fancy stuff. I had to make me a spring 15 inches long, 90 pounds for left rear. Everybody was loading that stuff up with a big right rear, and I wanted to. I'm not saying it was the best thing,
Yeah,
but I went long, and then instead of a 600 or 700 on the right rear, I was like 350.
Yeah.
Because most of the guys were 200 on the left rear. But I had to make a long, soft one, and it helped the car turn.
I was out of the business when those numbers come
I didn't
along.
miss anything. You would have been glad to leave at that time.
Yeah.
I hung on for a couple of years, and it was, if you didn't, when you guys were all racing and we were all around it, family and buddies,
Yeah,
to go get that knowledge now, they're going to give you 80% of it, but that last 20% costs you more than your race car did.
Yeah.
To get that guy come to help you,
Yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
What convinced you it was time to finally hang it up?
well,
Which would have been mid-90s? No, 2000?
yeah, 90,
95.
95.
Yeah.
I'd had enough.
What,
I'd lost my wife at the time. She was a big fan, and I'd done about everything I could do. They were coming we'd just get into the shock business, and I says, boy, I don't know.
You needed one guy just to keep care of the shocks.
Yeah,
at
the
that
shocks,
point.
over the prices went from $150 to, then they started getting fancy stuff was $800.
in the early 2000s, Rusty Wallace would show up with his kid with a shock, $500,000 worth of shock equipment and a trailer just to do shocks to beat the rule at the racetrack.
Yeah.
They built, you know, you were allowed a single adjustable, but they put everything on it to practice with and got what they wanted, then they'd put it in that shock. So how do you
Compete with that.
You don't. You don't.
Yeah.
So your first race as a crew chief, where was it at?
Must have been at Thunder Road at Catamount.
Yeah.
When
We didn't really stick handles on
Yeah.
anybody.
You're it this week?
But by now, are you the designated crew chief?
Well, NASCAR North, you had to have one, yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess,
You had to have a title?
Yeah.
yes.
Gotcha.
I guess it was my turn in the barrel that day.
Is it something everybody talked about and agreed on, or
Not really.
I-
There was no problem.
were you doing a lot of that call at the time? Were you kind of putting yourself in that position?
Well, when we first got radios, Raymond was on the radio,
Sure.
but the radio got handed to me because he could understand me better than Raymond.
Would Raymond get wound up?
I can't remember.
I'm
probably.
not really sure why, but he couldn't
Yeah.
hear Raymond that well.
He was on board first NASCAR win at T Road in '77. Won the Governor's Cup.
Was that the second year on the tour?
No, first. Well, other than the Chevelle.
Okay, that's what I'm counting that as the first
Yeah,
year.
that was
Okay.
the second year, Laughlin car won the Governor's Cup, 100 lapper.
You run. I know you said what they gave you for a setup wasn't perfect in the beginning, but did you run pretty good right out of the box with that Laughlin car compared to what you guys had been running?
Not bad.
Yeah, it was better. Oxford was still a struggle, though.
Yeah.
We always came home with more wedge in the car than Laughlin setup was.
Yeah,
And that's when Butch says, "Do what you're comfortable with."
yeah,
doing."
that's exactly right. Yeah,
Mike Laughlin looked at my setup. He says, "Do you get on the gas with 1 foot or 2?" He says.
You figured it had a lot of forward bite or something?
Yeah, I had the car I had to loosen the car up a little bit. I had too much wedge in it usually.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do.
if
Yeah.
if he and I had any conflicts, it was he liked the car a little bit looser than what I thought it should be.
Yeah.
And
that's a fun-
any push in the car he didn't like.
Yeah, because I could not deal with that.
Yeah,
That's got me in trouble. I'm sure it did you too, probably getting it too loose.
Oh, yeah.
But I used to marvel at guys like Morgan Shepherd and Joe Ruttman and Sam. I drove the guy out of Tennessee that used to put him in the cars there, the 7 there, Whitaker.
Ed Whitaker.
They called me one night and they took me to Hickory. I guess Morgan had been driving the car.
Yeah, Morgan drove for him. Harry Gant.
I
Bush, Earnhardt. You were
Yeah.
in good company, boy.
I couldn't. I mean, I ran decent, but I couldn't do it. I was a right foot breaker. And those guys are set up for those people to have the brake down there and the pedal going.
I'm a right foot breaker.
They had the pedal going. I mean, those cars were so tight, Dick, it blew my mind.
Wanting a loose race car, did that come from your starting on dirt pretty much? Or?
It came from not having much power.
Yeah.
You
That's a
tighten that car up, and I'm going to tell you, the horsepower goes right out the back window.
Done, wasn't it?
Yeah, you had to have something that would run free and easy.
So back to him asking you the question about doing all that stuff. How did you get that fixed with him? Just do it without telling him?
no,
They tried that.
There was
Yeah,
one
we did.
there was one guy on our crew that wanted me to do that all the time for a while. Junior Prescott. He always wanted to mess with the car as soon as Dick had his back turned. But I didn't think that was a good idea because
No,
if
'cause
I was messing with him, and he was messing with me about what the car was doing, I didn't figure that
Now,
would
the
work well.
relationship's over at that point.
Yes,
You
I
know,
agree.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, I just always had the right rear about 10 degrees out on the right front.
Well, I know when you went to Oxford, it had to be 10 or 20 in the afternoon, didn't it?
Yes,
Oh,
it
yeah,
did.
Huh?
Yeah, that place was different. Especially when the modifieds were there. They put that rubber down. You'd go out and practice after they put that other rubber down. You might as well go to the ice cream stand. You
Yeah.
wouldn't learn a
Yeah.
thing.
Boy, that's different kind of. Was it like the difference between
Two-
McQuarrie and Hoosier or something?
Yeah, two different tires, two different
Yeah.
kinds of rubber.
I totaled a great car at Greenville like that, leading the points, leading the region. Thankfully, I got a car to borrow. The dash cars were there, and I went out thinking I was
The drivers today kind of run into that too, because supers run the synthetic rubber now.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's totally different.
But it's probably this. I let off the gas, and it was like I hit an oil slick. It was about that bad, the difference in rubber, that had
Yeah.
built up there. I hadn't even thought about that at Oxford. So you still haven't answered how you draw the happy medium there.
I guess I probably won out, maybe.
He did. He won out.
Seniority?
Yeah.
Afraid he was going to tell your mother?
No,
Geez, that would have been a good argument for Carol. I don't know who she'd have picked.
I'm just afraid 15 laps into it, he's going to come on the radio. Way too tight.
Yeah.
I didn't want to listen to that.
Yeah.
Was that on the McQuarrie tires mostly, or were you on Goodyears?
McQuarrie's. Goodyear's too, probably.
Didn't make any difference what tire we
How
on.
was he to listen to on the radio while he was driving? Was high demand or just?
No, he was relaxed
Yeah.
behind the wheel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were always pretty even keeled.
Yeah.
I mean, in the cars, different, but. Simple question: when did you decide to start using banjo seats? All your cars had banjo seats in them. Did Butch get you on that?
Oh, no, the Laughlin car did, the first Laughlin car, right?
Yep.
Oh, did Jeffrey's car have one in it?
Jeff Stevens.
I don't know what that car.
I'm not sure what that.
I'm not sure what that
I don't think it
I
did.
think it was the
That's
Laughlin
how I
cars.
started. And I got to say one thing. I was lucky, not to change the subject, but I bought a lot of stuff from Bill Seifert.
Oh yeah.
And he never sold me any junk.
Oh, but listen, Bill. I love Bill Seifert.
He knew I had a small budget. He knew what kind of an operation I had, and he didn't waste any of my money.
He was a racer's racer. He raced the Cup Series with nothing, so to
Yeah.
speak, And he used to piss me off at banjos. We had a side room
Yeah.
for transmissions and gears.
Yeah.
And they'd stick me in there putting hubs and brakes together on stuff for speedway cars. And see if it was Kelly Girl Challenge. He got them in there. There was all kinds of money. That was a road race deal. Perry Como sweater and a blue shirt. He built gears and never get a spot of grease on him. I hated him. Of course, I looked like I was in a grease bucket every time I came out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Butch Stevens and him, I bought a lot from them too, and they were,
Yeah.
I'd say, what about this? Yeah, I don't want that, Dick, he says.
He knew. I
Yeah.
mean, he ran banjos. When he left, it went downhill. I mean, he was the main man
Yeah.
at banjos.
They got me on the right transmissions early in
Yeah.
life.
We got to talk to you a little bit. I mean, in the middle here, are you doing anything?
He went and got it.
I wouldn't get that transmission at Banjo's.
Really?
Yeah, and there was a guy there wanting to know about a motor. He was talking about, boring, whatever stroke. Banjo said, you want to go talk to Junior Johnson.
That's who ordered my motor, my banjo motor for me, Junior Johnson.
But
Yeah.
Did you ever have any aspirations to go any further than you went?
We talked about it a
Because
little
you
bit.
seem to have gotten really close.
We talked about it. He couldn't leave home. He had young kids. It would have been fun if he, Raymond, and I, and Bear could go and stuff, but like I told Raymond thought about it a little bit, I think, and I says, it probably won't work because there's so much money down there. If we go down there, say we ran good at Martinsville or Richmond, finished good, someone with a bunch of money is going to come over and say, I think this guy's the brains of the outfit, and they'll come over and offer him
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
They'll split you up.
Yeah, you guys probably wouldn't have had that problem back in the 80s, though, I don't think. But I hear what you're saying. I mean, it's tempting.
Yeah, well,
But I think you guys could have done it. You're talking about tracks. I think you would have excelled at. You make a good point there. And I think people respected you and liked you enough that you would have, whenever you lacked in Southern knowledge, say where they were doing it all the time,
Yeah.
you would have got it quick. I mean, that's what saved me was that knowledge down there. It doesn't mean people up here are stupid. They're just doing it for a living there, and
Yeah.
they're in a little deeper.
yeah, you've got to have that to go with you. It's got to happen.
Yeah.
Well, we're the screen is red again, Pete. We've overshot the runway again.
I didn't even shut up, did I?
Oh, I didn't either, I guess.
But I sort of wrap up the show a certain way, but we've kind of done that already. But take me back to when you went into the Hall of Fame. Obviously you didn't get into it into this business saying I'm going to be a Hall of Famer someday.
No, I didn't even know there was a Hall of Fame.
Yeah, but when you finally were inducted, well, at the New England Hall of Fame in 2002, and then again here
Yeah.
in Maine in
Yeah,
2009, what was the
Bobby
feeling up
Dragon
there?
took me. I was pretty happy. I went in with Don McLaren too.
Wow.
He was something in the
Oh,
super.
yeah. So tell me about your speech. Did you just walk up there and say thank you and walk away? That's about how I heard it.
Yeah, probably. I enjoyed all the time I raced. I did it because I loved it. And another reason we probably didn't get down, I didn't want to try to make a living at it.
It's a good point. You know, when I'm sitting back now and everything isn't competitive against everybody else, I look back at different people's careers and I look at yours because you did dabble, and every dabble was a success. You went to Martinsville, you didn't win, but you ran
decent.
You got to the top 5, and you went to Hickory once. I mean, if you went to Hickory for that race, it was probably a 200 lapper. It probably wasn't a regular Saturday night show.
Opening show of the year.
It was
It was spring.
spring, yeah.
Spring race.
So that used to be like the Mellow Yellow 300 or 200 or something, or 400 even. Was that race?
Yeah, they had the modifieds there too that time.
So anyways, getting back to the point now, and I'll shut down here. I mean, I thought you could have done well.
Yeah,
But being from Maine, that's what people did. They took care of business at home and families
Yeah.
and stuff. And
yeah.
it's easy.
We were all like I said, we were all 10 years apart.
Yeah.
It would have been fun to try it, but you have to give up your homestead. You have to move your kids.
I tell people to, when you get to a certain level, whether it's as you moved along or going down there, everything else is secondary. If you're trying to win and beat those guys,
Yeah.
your family, everything.
Yeah,
You got one. If you don't have that one focus, then you're just another guy that
Yeah.
raced. So you make a good point. Sorry.
No, you're good. Like I said, these shows we could make them longer and more.
Yeah, and we probably
editions
haven't
and-
touched anything yet.
Yeah,
Enough
well,
of it.
we'll save that for another day. But gentlemen, I want to thank you again for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Yep.
You're welcome.
Hope you've had a good time.
Yeah, it was
and
good.
Hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. I want to thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Vintage Racers Roundtable. Thank you again to Pete. All your hard work on pulling these things together.
And thank you for getting here to join us.
Like I said, at the mercy of the U.S. Postal Service. But if you want to find out more about the Maine Vintage Race Car Association, we encourage you to go to our website at mainvintagerace.org. There you can find out all the information. You can find past episodes of the Roundtable program and some of our previous guests. This is episode 10 already, and we'll certainly have more for you as well. So go there to the website, find out how you can become a member of the Maine Vintage Race Car Association, and help us support our mission in preserving and presenting the history of racing in the state of Maine. So more shows to come. I want to thank Elevation Station and Oxford Auto Salvage, as well as Lincoln County TV, Larry Seidlinger, and the whole crew here. So one final time on behalf of Mark Wentworth, Dave Staples, and Dick McCabe, Pete Silva, and myself, Ken Minot, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.